Hi, everyone. We are Nathan and Christine Grave. We attend Highlands. Pastor Aaron actually asked if we would be willing to share part of our family story with you guys.
So my family grew up in the Wayzata area, and I come from a family that has five girls and then a boy. And today we want to tell you a little bit about my sister Catherine, who was the youngest girl in our family. And she went on to go to college at the University of Northwestern in St. Paul. And while she was there, she met her husband, Jameson Pals, and they got married in 2010. And Jameson always had a heart for being a missionary, and especially a heart for being a missionary to the people of Japan.
And a big reason for that when, as they started their journey, and it was really fun to hear the reason why, because you think Japan, I don't know, you're used to hearing about other places, but one of the things that really stuck out to me that Jameson shared with me was that the suicide rate in Japan is just off the charts. At the time, it was like number 2 in the world, and it's this culture of just extreme honor. But if you dishonor your family, like young members of the family will go into hiding. Like they'll 30 days of silence, and they end up killing themselves. And so a big reason for that was they wanted to go over there and just share hope and love and the message of the gospel with them.
Catherine and Jameson continued to pray and raise support and move towards the goal of moving to be missionaries in Japan. They had 3 kids, and they were finally getting to the point where they were fully funded and supported in 2016. And they had sold everything and were getting ready to go to their last training in Colorado.
July 31st of 2016, they were, them and their 3 kids were heading down to Colorado to complete their training. We had just gotten back from a family camper at Northern Pines that week, and I started journaling stuff in our lives before that, because we were kind of on our own journey of being called somewhere. We were called down to Florida for work and for missions, and little did I know what my next journal entry would be right after that. And we don't have words. Our hearts hurt so much right now. Catherine and Jameson and their children all died in a car accident today. We can't ask why. There's just no point. And it's so fragile. And there are no words. And I just remember in that moment when you got the phone call and she just fell to the ground, and I heard that cry, and I just remember hearing that still soft voice that you wish you could hear every day, but I heard it so clearly then, was, Nathan, you're not going to understand, and you don't have to, and that doesn't mean that I'm not God. And I just went over and hugged you, and that's all I could do in that moment.
As you can imagine, it was devastating, and you couldn't even imagine, hearing that we lost them all at the same time. But even in that moment, because of just our faith and because of what God had taught us, we both just knew, and we trusted in God's sovereign plan. And it was hard to understand why sometimes it would happen. Those are the initial thoughts that come in, but then right away we were able to be like, we trust you, God. We know you have a sovereign plan. You had a sovereign plan for their lives, and you have one for ours.
Yeah, and even that night, when you think you're not gonna be able to sleep for days, and just the heavy wailing and crying, and just the shock of it, that verse about that he gives us peace that transcends all understanding. It was we slept well that night, and it doesn't mean we didn't hurt a ton, but like we somehow fell asleep peacefully that night, and we felt that peace, that presence of God just surround our hearts.
We had so much love and support from the people around us, our friends and family, and people we didn't even know that were there for us and supported us and helped us through those really hard days in the beginning. We also had people who prayed for us, and we know that helped us through so much, strengthened us, helped us to start finding that hope, even when it didn't seem like it would be possible to feel that, that early on. Some of the things that really helped me one of them was worship music. And I know anytime that I was in church or just listening on my own, I really felt like that healing was happening, especially when I started hearing worship songs about heaven, because I could just picture them there. I knew that that's where they were. I knew they were in heaven, and I know that one day that we will be with them there. And so those songs just really gave me hope of that reunion with them, that hope of heaven, as people say. And even still, when I hear different songs, I heard one the other day that was a really impactful song for Nathan and I that he heard first and shared with me, called Spirit Breakout. And just picturing them meeting Jesus.
That was such a, I look at my playlist, and I remember when I added that song, it was like, when I heard the song, all I could picture was like the moment of impact when they were hit and killed. There was the spirit just broke out, and then it didn't just go out like in Nebraska where they're hit. It went everywhere. I just pictured it going everywhere in every direction, just this like holy fire that just was going to spread hope and just do a far greater impact than any of us could think or imagine at the time.
Even though they weren't able to go to share the hope in Japan, we know that, and we knew at the time and continue to see how God is using their story and using them and the message of them to share hope to the people around them. Like, even since the accident, there was a foundation started in their name, the Palace Family Foundation, and it's helped support missionaries and started a training center in Japan called the Joy of Japan Center. So we're very thankful, and it's cool to hear how that came about.
Yeah. Well, I was reading last week in my book, and I came across this quote from Viktor Frankl, and it says, "Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances." And, we just chose to believe the best, that even though we couldn't see how God would use it, we just chose to trust in him and put our faith and our hope, which brings us to, a verse that was just so important and impactful for us during this time, which was Hebrews 11:1. It's, "Now faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see." What Satan intended for evil, God intends for good. And you just have to choose to have faith in that. And when you do, I think that's what we experienced the most, was that when you make that choice, God doesn't make you, but when you make that choice to put your faith and your hope and your trust in him, he just wants so desperately to draw close to you in those moments. And he is, through worship, through prayer, through people, through everything we've encountered, he has drawn so near to us and just given us assurance that he's using all of this for good.